Hi and welcome to this SOLIDWORKS tutorial for a winter tea light holder. In this tutorial I will show you how I created a wrap design for a truncated cone face. The design is created as a DXF and imported to SOLIDWORKS. The tea light for the design is available to download from the blog. I will also demonstrate how to render the design in SOLIDWORKS Visualize by adding an area light to the tea light and editing the final appearances of the holder. For the winter landscape of this design, I've also added the vectors file to the blog for download, but feel free to draw or create your own. To begin, start a new part, and sketching onto the front plane, take the line and sketch a 100mm line from the axis. Go out by 55, diagonally down and level with the axis and join it up. Adding smart dimensions, the bottom line here should be 40mm. Again, the top line should be 55mm and the side edge 100mm. Use the revolve feature and select this edge for the axis of revolution. This creates the main shape of the tea light holder. Selecting the top face of the revolve, go to the shell feature and change the shell thickness to 2mm and then OK. This will hollow out the model from the selected face. Next I will need a new plane for the wrap feature, but also to sketch a guide to place the design. Selecting reference geometry and plane. For reference 1, select the right plane. Then for the second reference, select this face. The plane should snap tangent to the face from the front. OK the new plane and start a new sketch onto it. Viewing the plane normal to, take the centre line and draw a 2mm line from the centre of the bottom edge of the holder. Add a smart dimension to it too and close the sketch. Next, select the top face of the holder and the fillet icon. Change the fillet dimension to 1mm and select the bottom face of the part here. Now this is the face that I will be applying the wrap to, but to ensure that I know that my design will wrap around correctly, I'm going to create a template of the holder's face using a truncated cone generator. I'll put the link up in the blog. In the template maker, ensure units are in millimeters, and in this box you'll see a preview of your template. For the top diameter, this is the overall diameter of the base of my holder, which is double the 40mm radius. So input 80 here. The other radius is 55mm, so change this dimension to 110mm. The height of the truncated cone would be 100mm in my case. Then for the glue flange angle and size, change these to 0 as we don't need them. Keep the document options as they are, and under Request, change the file type to DXF and click Create. This should automatically download. I will also make this file available to download from the blog. Moving into my vector software, I'm using CorelDRAW, but you can use any vector software you have. If you don't have vector software, feel free to download the finished DXF file from the blog. I have the vectors here that I've already drawn out. As I mentioned at the beginning of the tutorial, these are available to download from the blog if you want to use them for your own design. Selecting Import, I'm importing the DXF template file. You'll probably find this within your downloads. I'm going to start by straightening out the template like this so that it's level with the horizontal guide. I'm then going to offset the top line by 2mm, then the same for the bottom line. This is so that the wrap design doesn't interfere with the filleted edges of my design, and it fits within the holder's face. Deleting the top and bottom lines, trim away the extra entities of the offset lines to look like this. Create a boundary of all the lines to create a closed shape. Fill your shape with a dark colour. In this case I'm using a dark blue. This is so that I can see the white vectors. Using a vertical guide down the centre of the template, I'm sketching half of the snow hills within the template shape. You need to ensure that the node angle is perpendicular to the outer edge at the start of the hill and at the centre of the guide so that it joins smoothly when mirrored. This is important for the wrap feature too, otherwise the hills won't look smooth. I am then copying and mirroring over the sketch to create even snow hills. Fill the shape white. You can now use the vectors for the scene and just copy and paste the parts. Move them into position, remembering to rotate the shapes to match the angle of the template like this. Once I'm happy with the position of the trees and houses, I'm going to fill the background with snow. ensuring not to overlap the snow onto the houses or trees. All the vectors must be within the template. With the scene done, weld all the vector designs into one shape, excluding the template shape. It should look like this. Before I can export the shape, select the endpoints of the snow hills and move it along the bottom edge a tiny bit, just enough to make the design smaller than the template. Do the same on the other side. The reason I need to do this is that if the design is the exact size of the face, it will not wrap, as the overlapping sketch lines as it wraps round intersect each other. So if it's slightly smaller, there will be a small gap which I can close off with a boundary feature. Export the design as winter scene with the file type on DXF. Ensure your export units are millimeters and OK it. Going back to SOLIDWORKS, select the new plane we created and go to Insert, DXF/DWG and browse for the winter scene DXF. The DXF import options will open like this. Under Import to Part as 2D Sketch, untick Import as Reference and select Next. Change the import units to millimeters in the drop down and select Finish. The DXF comes in as a sketch. View in Normal 2, select all the sketch and use Move Entities. I'm going to move the sketch from the bottom midpoint here to the top of the guide sketch I created earlier. My SOLIDWORKS does slow down a little bit with the detail of this sketch, but it can manage it. Once it's in place, I need to close the sketch to be able to use the wrap feature. Select and wrap, select the sketch first. Then for the wrap settings, ensure wrap type is on emboss and the wrap method is analytical. Make the emboss thickness 0.05mm. It is so thin as the feature is only there to apply a different appearance to the winter scene. Select the cup face here for the wrap face. The preview should appear like this. You can see in the preview there is a slight gap in the wrap feature, which is what we created drawing the vectors. Without a small gap, the wrap wouldn't work as the two edges of the wrap sketch would overlap. OK the wrap feature. Looking at the gap, select the boundary boss feature and select the inner faces of the wrap opening. You may need to move this green dot by dragging it parallel to the other like this. OK the feature to close off the gap. Hide the new plane and visible sketches. Moving on to appearances, select the Revolve, Shell and Fillet feature, followed by the Edit Appearances icon here. Apply the glass appearance in gloss clear glass like this and apply it. For the wrap and boundary feature, apply the glass textured appearance in frosted glass. Save the part as Winter Tea Light Holder. Start a new document and select Assembly. Drop in the tea light holder, then browse for the tea light part. Drop in the tea light near the holder. Then, opening Mate Settings, make the tea light base to the inner base of the holder and make the edge of the tea light concentric to the inside of the holder. Save the assembly as Tea Light Assembly. To render the part, I'm using SOLIDWORKS Visualize. Selecting the SOLIDWORKS Visualize tab, I can use Export Advanced to export the assembly straight to Visualize. When it opens, the first thing I'm changing is the camera's aspect ratio. Under Cameras, I want to change the aspect ratio to 16:9, which is the ratio of most screens. This ensures my renders will fill the screen. Moving on to the Environments tab, select the ticked backplate and untick Visible. I'm using the background only for my rendering. Selecting the ticked background, I'm changing the background type to colour. Before I choose the colour, I want to make the background brightness darker, so that the background colour doesn't change once I select it. For this design, I want it to be quite dark, so I'm changing this to 0.35. For the colour, I'm making it a dark blue, but you can make it any colour you wish. Now to add some candle light. Scroll down to the light section and right click and add new light. Select Pick Position and drop the light near the top of the tea light wick. When the light options open, go in the General tab and make the light visible. Keep the type on Area Light and under the shape drop down, change this to point. As you can see, the light is far too big, so to change this, scroll to the sphere radius and change the sphere size to 0.001. I'm going to lower the brightness of the light to 0.06 and change the colour of the light to burn a flame orange. I can also play around with the colour temperature of the flame, going from cool to warm. For this, I'm just going to leave it here. To ensure the light is in the right position and isn't floating away from the wick, go to the Transform tools and view the model from the top view. The light is circled here. I'm going to change the position dimensions by hovering and dragging left or right to place the light onto the wick. This may take a few tries to get it exact. You can also type in the location of the wick to move it more accurately. View the candle from the front to move the light along the y-axis up onto the wick. Once I'm happy with the position, I can move on to the appearances. Selecting the Appearances tab, click onto Clear Glass. For the index of refraction, change this to 2. And change the glass roughness to 2 also. This will make the glass a little less transparent. For the frosted glass appearance, I'm inputting the maximum for the index of refraction to 4 and the maximum roughness to 100 so that the design looks like it has fully frosted glass. With the appearances edited, I'm getting the holder into a good position for a rendering. To get rid of this reflective shine, I can just rotate the background until the shine hits the side of the glass. You can play around with the model until you're happy with the visual. Visualize renders in real time, so the view that you have here is very close to the final rendered image. Under Environments, I'm adding a slight reflection and roughness to the floor. Right now, I think the flame light is a little bright, so I'm editing the brightness to 0.4. And I'm also lowering it down the wick to look more natural. Once you're happy with it, save the project. You can then render the tea light using Tools and Render. I'm leaving all output settings as they are and selecting Start Render. Here is the final rendering. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thanks for watching.